Good morning, guys. Back at it with another video, and I'm here to tell you why as a man you're not allowed to have any fun in life, which is what a critiquer of my video who is naive would say. I'm here to talk about why I, as a young man in his 20s, doesn't drink alcohol, and there's various reasons for that. Some are part of like a broader philosophical framework, and then there's some things that I think are problematic with alcohol itself. That being said, I know that there's a bit of like a counterculture nowadays where it's kind of that straight edge Puritan thing where it's, you've got to join the 5 a.m. club, no drinking, go to sleep early, which is all super based. I'm definitely a fan of that, but we're obviously not here just to look cool or to post stuff on social media. What would be the actual reasons as a young dude that you shouldn't drink alcohol? So here are my thoughts. Now, I have obviously drunk alcohol in the past, and it's not to say that in maybe like a hyper-specific situation, like on a hot summer afternoon or something, that I wouldn't have a beer. I particularly enjoy Guinness, but I can probably count on one hand the number of drinks I had last year, for example. Like it's that little. I don't know if I've had any alcohol this year yet, but that's besides the point. Here are the reasons why I don't generally partake. Okay, what is alcohol? Alcohol is a toxin, so it's literally ethanol, this substance that when you ingest it, obviously it can kill you at super high doses, but even in micro dosages, alcohol is a toxin, and it kills neurons. So neurons are little pieces in the brain, which are kind of like cells that transfer information and stuff. And when you have alcohol within your bloodstream, and some of that does cross the blood-brain barrier, of course, that's why you get sort of mental effects of being drunk. It kills off neurons. Now, what's the problem with that? Neurons do not regrow, do not regenerate. There is some neuroplasticity, and for example, neurons in the eye can regenerate, and on the tongue, I think. But the neurons that alcohol kills do not regrow. So you're making yourself more retarded. So it has a physical negative effects. When you drink it and when it's present within your system, it also hurts sleep and you have an elevated heart rate, which means bad recovery. Now that's already bad, but if you're training or if you're a gym guy, if you actually want to look after your health, having alcohol regularly, even in small doses, is actually negatively impacting your sleep. So that's another negative health benefit that it has. And finally, loss of mental faculties. I'm obviously going to jump into the mental category, but I think there's a huge problem that alcohol, why is there a drink driving law? Because even at minor levels, they've done studies on this, is that alcohol impairs your cognition. So you're actually removing your ability to make good decisions, your ability to think rationally, you're inhibiting your memory. Why do people do things like hook up when they're drunk? They do stupid stuff like vandalism and arson and all of the stuff. The reason is because they lose like that frontal cortex part of the brain. Alcohol just means that you can't use it. So by drinking this, it's effectively a sedative. You're dulling the senses. You're dulling your reason. That's why I put it in the same category as weed. While weed is probably more addictive than alcohol, alcohol is still super addictive. And as far as I can see, it has no immediate benefits aside from perhaps some of the emotions and feelings that it gives you. But overall, if we're just taking a pure, objective, physical look at the substance, it's obviously bad for humans. Why do people become more social when they drink alcohol? Because maybe someone who's anxious or a bit of an overthinker, when they have alcohol and they start to lose some of that, I guess you could say, consciousness, they become stupider, they lose social inhibition, they're more able to have conversations. And that's a direct effect of the sedation of alcohol. And I don't know, personally I view that as a problem. Like I have no issues having fun and being able to chat to people and stuff without alcohol. But the fact that people use that as a reason, I kind of don't really think it's valid. Like there's a difference between perhaps enjoying the taste of the drink, which could be justified. You know, we enjoy food and drink, and that's part of our natural enjoyment as creatures in the world. But I think the waters begin to get muddied. But here's the biggest problem, like to be honest, because I don't struggle with any of this, these are sort of the main reasons that I don't drink, but I think societally speaking, this is probably the crux of the issue. I will also add this before I jump in. Alcoholism, or being addicted to alcohol is probably one of the most destructive things that currently exists in Western society. If you're an alcoholic, you cannot hold a job, you cannot raise a family, you lose your ability to think even during the day because you might be day drinking. Like being an alcoholic, which is obviously the extreme case of drinking alcohol, is extremely, extremely detrimental and harmful and ultimately leads to death. Now, I'm obviously arguing for the opposite end of the spectrum, where I'm basically saying I just don't think it's justified to drink any, or I don't drink any myself. Most people are obviously somewhere in the middle. But my counsel, I guess the whole point of this video is that I think there's very valid reasons to go to this side of the spectrum. And these are part of the reasons why. Why do people say that they drink? Well, it's because it's social and because I enjoy it. But what's the underlying kind of emotional or mindset behind drinking? Here's what I think it is. Pleasure. It's fun, it tastes good, it makes me feel good. I'm getting a bit of a buzz, I'm at the club, and this is what everyone does. I don't think that's a valid reason to drink alcohol. I'd say a lot of people, especially older people, use it for this reason: stress relief and drowning your sorrows. It's an escape from reality. It's escapism. Just like weed, which dulls the senses and you could say it enhances creativity or something, alcohol shuts down the rational part of the brain and I guess allows you to ignore or drown your sorrows. Like we all know that's the classic motif in movies and books. I think that's a grave issue from a human point of view. Like if we view, I guess let's say if you're a secular person and you think, well, I kind of want to be self-aware, I want to discover my mission and my purpose, or you're a Christian and you want to grow in intimacy with God and Jesus Christ and you want to develop a life of prayer, well, ignoring my stress or my anxiety or my sorrow through alcohol is not a good way to do it. That's like putting a band-aid over an infected wound. You actually need to get in there and figure out what the heck is wrong. Peer pressure. A lot of people drink because of peer pressure. I don't even think it would be that common nowadays if there wasn't just this horrible drinking culture. But ultimately, I think the drinking culture that we see today arrives from hedonic worship of pleasure, and it also from people having no meaning. It's much easier to just get drunk and blackout drunk and sleep with girls and all of that than actually take a hard look at yourself and at reality and ask yourself, what is the meaning of life? And lack of sobriety. I love the word sobriety, and I think people have a bad interpretation of it where they think that if you're sober or if you practice sobriety, it means that you never have fun and that you're kind of apathetic and you don't have emotion. I don't think that's the case at all. You know, St. Paul tells us to be sober directly in one of his letters. Be sober and vigilant. Sobriety allows you to pay attention to yourself, to have self-awareness, and it also allows you to understand and recognize what are the true goods in life. The pleasure and feeling that comes with alcohol is not a transcendental good. It's not a true thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a beautiful thing. Like being sober-minded and appreciative of higher goods is a lot better, and it brings a lasting joy and peace as opposed to the happiness or feeling that comes with alcohol. And I think someone who regularly partakes in alcohol compromises their sobriety because they have this crutch, they have this intemperance. If you're getting drunk, obviously that's a sin too, but it kind of brings with it a mental problem, a mental attachment that is inherent to alcohol. Sure, you can have these things and not be related to alcohol, and you can give up alcohol and still have trouble with chasing pleasure and drowning your sorrows with things. But ultimately, they're very much interconnected. So that's some of the physical downsides. That's kind of the mental side of the picture. I think this idea about the sedative seriously has to be wrestled. The reason I'm holding my arms is because my rotator cuff is a bit injured at the moment. I think that should give you like, okay, is a sedative okay in small doses? Well, we know that it's licit and it's allowed, but I would probably rather just not have anything that removes my mental faculties or, you know, makes me lose my reason. So those are some of the ideas that I had. Let me check if I had any other notes. Yeah, I just think it's used by most of society as an escape from the hard questions and from actually doing something meaningful with your life. And there's nothing to say that you can be on the grind and be disciplined and be productive and have a drink every now and again. But I think if you take a hard look at society, you would say that alcoholism has probably gone too far. And it's 100% part and parcel of our lack of meaning and our chasing of pleasure. And that just like video games and just like porn, alcohol is one of those things that men will lose their life to. They will still be alive, but because of alcohol, because of video games, because of a pornography addiction, the reality is that they don't really live, that they are consumed and possessed by these demons. It's not that you drink alcohol. Alcohol has you. Video games are playing you. Porn is destroying you. You are no longer the subject of these activities. You are the object. You are being used and your life is being wasted. So again, I'm not saying that this is a black and white issue, but as a young guy looking outside at people my age and looking at society, as someone who derives a lot of joy and satisfaction from a lot of things that I do, I just have not found that alcohol has a place in my life. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree. These are the reasons that I would give. There's probably more spiritual principles behind this, like St. Ignatius's sed contra or something like that, about going against things and movements of the world. That's my 2 cents. Take it or leave it. We'll see you in the next one.